Thank you for joining us at Theology podcasts and resources. Listen, this week I just returned from a winter youth retreat in Indiana. And we did a Q&A session and could not even begin to finish all the questions that came in. I've got them with me here, and we're going to tackle those right now. So what we're going to do is read through some of these questions. I'm going to give 1-minute answers, okay? And if you have more questions that you want us to answer here and respond to, all you need to do is go to youthology.com. Just see the link tree in the socials and send us your questions. And over the course of the next few weeks, we're going to do some Q&A, Q&R response podcast to your questions. So, hey, 1-minute answers to these questions, okay? Here's the first question. Why did the biblical worldview go down in the last 3 generations? Well, listen, maybe you've heard the grandparents, 65% biblical worldview in America. They had Gen X, their kids, dropped from 65% to a 33% biblical worldview. And then Gen X had their first set of kids, which would be the millennials. That biblical worldview dropped to 19%. And then they had their second set of kids. And then maybe the older millennials had their younger set of kids, Gen Z, which are teenagers today. And I think maybe you've seen the research, Barna research. We have the documented research of a 4% biblical worldview in Gen Z. Yeah, and now we have Gen Alpha coming up, Alpha Gen coming up. Where are they going to land, right, in this biblical worldview? So that's the background of the question. Let me tell you, I think we've lost theology in the youth ministry. I think we've seen a plummeting emphasis, just this loss of a theological construct, programming, small group, all kinds of spiritual formation idea. I think we've lost that. But we can't just blame the youth group, okay? We can't just blame the 33% of kids who are in youth ministry who can name half of the 10 commandments. I mean, that's a stunning stat. But we can't place all of this on the youth ministry. We have to place it in the home too, don't we? Yeah, that's right. Listen, just a quick mind pull for you. Did you grow up as a teenager or a young adult doing Bible study in the home, doing family devotions at the table, right? So I think that's where it begins. I think that's why we've seen it. I mean, sure, blame society, right? That's what we want to do, is blame society, blame a post-Christian culture, humanism in the schools, right? Government out of control, and religious freedoms. I mean, there's so many things you can talk about, censorship in media. But I really think it gets back to the church and to the home. So anyway, that's my response there. Hey, question number 2. How do you worship God at home every day? I love this. Listen, this is the best way to start. Purify your Spotify. That's right. I know it's a little play on words, but what are you listening to? What's your playlist? What are the kinds of things that are coming into your spirit, into your mind, right? Garbage in, garbage out. And I think your music has a lot to do with that. I know worship is not just music. It's your lifestyle, right? It's your thought patterns. It's what you give to God. Generosity, right? Worship goes broader than that, but I want to land specifically on the music part of it. I really believe that if you turn your bedroom into a prayer room or a worship center, get that Bluetooth going, get some extra speakers, whatever. If you could capture God's presence in your bedroom, you wouldn't recognize yourself in 30 days. So I think it starts there. Okay, hey, here's another one. How should I go and show my friends at school the love of God without forcing anything on them? Man, I love this question. Just the fact that you're asking the question tells me that you have a passion for evangelism and outreach, right? I mean, think about that. How do I do this without forcing, anything on? I know that sometimes we make statements like, hey, we need to share the gospel with people. And if we can do it any other way than our words, then do it. you all know we got to use our words too. So it's not just lifestyle evangelism. I mean, that's important. But I think we also have to learn how to share our story, how to share our testimony. So I like to say it like this. I think you need to learn your story in 1 minute. Learn your testimony, your story of faith in 1 minute. Here's a great way to do it. Look at the before and the after. Look at the dark and the light. Okay, real simple. Look at before I met Christ, after I met Christ. Look at the darkness in your life pre-Christ, and then the light and the changes post-Christ, once you've committed your life to Christ. And we call that apologetics. It's being able to share your faith. It's a defense of the faith. So I really believe that it comes from your story. Now, aside from lifestyle evangelism and serving people and helping them out, right? Aside from that, then we move to our story and sharing our faith. Let me give you one more, and that is random acts of kindness. Okay? Random acts of kindness. I think that helps too. So listen, if you have a faith, it's easier to share it. Okay? Really. So build your own personal faith. I think that will come along. Another question. How do I still be faithful even if God is silent? Wow. Okay. I love this question because it really is easy to answer. You've heard the text where, God says that I'm in the storm and I'm in the fire, I'm in the wind, right? I'm in the tornado. If you go through the waters, I'm there. If you go into the fire, you'll come out and you won't even smell. We get all of the pictures and the symbolism of God in that setting, but hear me. God is in that stillness also. Honestly, don't equate stillness with God being distant. Silence doesn't mean that you are distant from God. And I think sometimes we want this roar, right? And we want this demonstration. And there's nothing wrong with that. I do believe God speaks that way graphically. But sometimes it's like your best friend. Sometimes you could just be with your best friend and not say a word and just hang out and do homework, or, right? You don't have to have a conversation because you're comfortable with each other. And I think our relationship with God is the same way. He is not tied to noise. Our relationship with God is not driven by noise. Okay? So enjoy that silence. Maybe in the silence and you're not really hearing him, it's a great time for you to just be faithful. Just be steady, so that when you come out of that silent season, that dark night of the soul, or right, when you come out of it, you've remained faithful and you won't be losing ground. Okay, all right. Hey, another question. What does the Bible say about suicide? Man, so many great questions. Let me deal with this one. I know there's a lot of talk about this, that if you take life, right, then you've committed a sin, and once you've taken your life through suicide, you can't repent, and so you are doomed to hell. Let me tell you something. I believe that God sees the entirety of your life, especially that 30,000-foot view in a shorter season even. So let's say somebody has been depressed and somebody is their mental health is under attack. I don't believe that when somebody makes a decision to take their life in desperation or depression or in a mental health crisis, I don't believe that it is that instant or that moment that defines their eternity. I really don't. I think God looks at the season of the moment that they're in. I think we need to be careful of momentary salvation, losing our salvation in a moment, right? I mean, think about it. The thief on the cross, right? There were two there. There's a good criminal and a bad criminal, right? And the good criminal, in a moment, right? One that, with that one statement in that one moment of his life, everything changed. if God were to have only judged him in that one moment and not looked at the entirety of his life, man, where would he really be in heaven? And so I think God looks at the entirety of the moments that we're in that might lead up to a desperation or depressive or mental health crisis that we might be in, right? So, man, hope that helps a little bit too. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that too. Hey, last question. How do I truly start loving myself and stop having body issues? I'm going to add in shaming here, body shaming. Man, I know this is a big one for teenagers. Let me tell you, one of the easiest ways that you can counter the comparison game is to be very cautious with your social media, because it's easy to take that social media picture and begin to say, this is the body image that's pop, or this is the body image that is normal, or this is the body image, or the type of hair, or the language, or the style of clothes that I wear, right? The cut, all of that stuff. Listen, be careful of comparing yourself to what might be pop or mainstream, because that is not where your value or your image comes from. Your image doesn't come from your cut or your clothes, it comes from your character. Okay? So I really believe that if you would watch what you're viewing, that eye gate, right, on social media, on movies, watching other people, if you be careful with that eye gate, if you watch your comparison and be careful of comparing yourself to other people, and then don't place your value on your cut, right? your hair. Don't put it on your clothes and the label, but put it on your character, okay? Because that's where your true value and your true image comes from as a child of God. All right? Hey, thanks again for listening to us with some of these questions. Please send them to us, and we're going to be adding these the next couple of weeks. We're going to be doing some Q&A sessions and answer your questions right here on Youthology Live. Hey, you know where to find us. Just go to the socials, check out the link tree. That's all you got to do. And go to YouTube. You can see us there. We're on the iTunes podcast. It'll all be up and running in the next few minutes. All right. Thank you. See you next week.